Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Welcome to the Construction Digitalization Charter Pledges Sharing. This is Janice. It's my great pleasure to be your MC today. Welcome, everyone. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for gracing our event with your presence. It's wonderful to see everybody here today. And apart from our guests joining here in person, our event is also live broadcasting. So a very warm welcome to our online audience as well. To lead Hong Kong's construction industry into a new digital era, the Construction Industry Council, CIC, worked with key industry stakeholders to prepare the construction digitalization roadmap and set a vision, smart construction empowered by digitalization. We are committed to achieve our vision for the industry by setting a target for 2026 with full adoption of digitalization, including the Building Information Modeling BIM, Common Data Environment CDE, and digital tools in site supervision and monitoring for raw active projects over $300 million, and trained sufficient practitioners with various levels of BIM competencies. And we're glad that at the end of 2022, a total of 59 organizations signed the Construction Digitalization CD Charter to join hands with the CIC to achieve our digitalization targets for the industry. For today's event, we are happy to have them share with us on their digitalization journey and host a discussion forum to exchange their ideas with all our participants. And we'll welcome our online and physical attendees to join our discussion forum through scanning the QR code now showing on the screen. Please raise your questions, share your ideas anytime during the event, and we will bring those ideas to the discussion forum. We would also like to obtain your opinion on what is the biggest challenge so far you have experienced during your digitalization journey. So you can give your poll and choose more than one option. Now, to officially begin, I would like to invite the chairman of the Construction Industry Council, Engineer Thomas Ho, to come up to the stage for the welcome address. Let's put our hands together to welcome Engineer Ho.
Okay, good afternoon, I think, everyone. Donald, I think, who's yet to come. YY, thank you. Raymond is here. Paul, Jerry, and Kevin. Okay, thank you. They are the main sort of speakers, I think, afterwards. And the fellow digital construction digitization supporters, and the 1,500 practitioners and supporters, I think, online. So welcome to today's CIC Construction Digitization Charter Pledges Sharing event. This is a very important event. At the International Conference on Construction last year, some 59 participants have signed, I think, this CD Charter in front of, I can't remember, it's the CE or the Ministry of Construction. And joining hands with CIC to achieve our digitization charter and look at our targets and also try to showcase your strengths and commitment to enhance safety, quality, efficiency, quality for all of your construction projects and processes. And high quality development, 高質量發展 is our future. These days, we just don't talk about just digitization. It's the high quality development, 高質量發展 that we are talking about. Is really embracing sustainability while capitalizing on our technology. That's why your 59 people here is so important. Your organization is so important. You are really driving this transformation process into our industry. So these 59 organizations include the whole of supply chain, including developer, consultant, main contractor, special subcontractor, the whole supply chain, and also some of the AEC consultants as well. And then in line with the government idea, the organization charter commit our vision for the industry to set this target by 2026. All of us really need to do this digitization. It's not just, I think, the BIM. As I said, it's the real digitization that we are looking forward, I think, into. And again, the target is definitely this high-quality development, that we need to be getting the speed, the efficiency, the quality, the livability, the wellness back to the industry, back to the participant. That is the target that we have set ourselves. And again, one important point I think we have committed ourselves is we're not just looking into a project, or not just looking into the design or construction, but the total life asset management that we are talking about. That's what we have to target ourselves. Maybe let us watch, I think, the video to see what all this, I think, can bring to us into our total life asset management. Okay, so I think that this video will speak it all. And this is really our target. By 2026, all jobs, about 300 million, will be executing the total life cycle management like this. And you can see, it's not just the construction, design, it's the total cycle that we are addressing. And then later on, I think there will be 5-4 organizations going to explain to you how easy it is to achieve this target. Because all these people have already done it. And I'm not sort of trying to be saying, oh, this is easy. Indeed, there are real projects in Hong Kong. I've been visiting a few contracts for the last sort of, I think, 12 months. One project is by YY, the Henderson. They're already putting the FM point in the design in a very early stage. And I went there. The BIM engineer showed me the toilet. We can see the sensors placed in the location, anywhere with the water leakage, you can detect already. That's what we meant. And then I went to Hao Ming Gai by Sun Hong Kai. Again, they did the same thing. And when they did the staircase, they definitely are using the digital twin to execute the job, not to talk about the FM. FM, no doubt, would be put on the design stage. And again, the design for safety, buildability, sustainability are already there. So this is, the job that is coming. I think Raymond from Swire, I think on your Taikoo job, again, in Wan Chai, again, doing the same thing. Hong Kong Land, I was told, another project is embarking on the whole solution. So this is now becoming real, and we really need to catch up. I think technology is here already. And I think we definitely need to capture this golden moment. By end of February, Permanent Secretary had issued a work circular for jobs over 13 million. You have to use 4 S's. So what is 4 S's? Smart Safety Site System, 安全智慧工地. So you knew, I think, in Hong Kong, our safety record are not very good. We definitely really to commit this for basic commitment. First of all, design for safety, design for sustainability, design for productivity. This is the first thing. The second thing we need to commit is define roles and responsibility. The client needs to do this, the consultant needs to do design for safety, the sub-consultant needs to apply those sort of technology into safety. So this is the second commitment. Thirdly, is a temporary works management plan. Last year, out of the 20 fatality, 90% are temporary works. And what are temporary works? All the job that we are doing, 90% are temporary works. The tower crane, the means and method for demolition, the gondola, all those, the ELS, all those are temporary works. So we really need to have a management plan, hopefully digitally managed, using digital twin. It's being done. That's why this is the 3 major items. The 4th item is 4 S's. And in the last policy address, just a few months ago, CE had committed we need to produce these 4 S's by Q1 this year. And we are ahead of schedule. And again, 1st of April, Albert, CITF, has assigned 150 million for all of us to use these 4 S's. Now for a company, you can apply for 6 million for digitization, for safety already. And now we give you 1.5 million more to do the 4 S's. And you make some calculation. A small project would only need 500,000. So 1.5 million would do at least 3 projects already. That would help the SME. And last week, or 2 weeks, within the next 2 weeks, Albert and I had met with Reader. They are all in support because we are really on the same mind. This high quality development is really everyone's sort of dream. How to give back, improve on the efficiency, how to do the wellness, how to give back the sustainability to the ultimate tenant, while we can manage all these sustainability FM points. So this is really the target we're having. Again, other than the Reader, we talk to the SME developers as well, knowing the SME developer will be quite mindful, of course. But strange enough, they all are in agreement. They would write down all this into their contract. Simple thing. The psyche of Hong Kong industry had changed. And that's why we really need all you guys, I think, helping us in the end, setting good examples. In November, CIC is going to have a Grand Sustainability Forum. And we'll be inviting, other than the 59 of you, we'll be inviting at least 200 more signatories onto the stage, signing the same charter as you guys, either with the minister again or with the financial secretary. That is our target. And the journey starts from today. And really, I'd love to, I think, pass on to this burden onto you. And if you still have problem, don't come to me, come to Alex. So thank you very much for listening to me. And I would really welcome all of you to spend time into listening, into the top secret. These 5 organizations are going to share with you. They are really good. They are totally open, totally transparent, giving you the top secret. How can we meet up with this high quality development? With this, thank you very much.
Thank you, Engineer Ho, for the sharing. Please be seated. Thank you. And up next, it's our honor to invite the Legislative Council member, Technology and Innovation Constituency, the Honorable Duncan Chu, to deliver the opening remarks. We regret that the Honorable Duncan Chu is unable to attend our event in person today, so he will be deliver his speech in video. Mr. Chu, please.
Dear friends at Construction Industry Council, good morning. I'm terribly sorry. I promised to join the event today, but due to unexpected changes in schedule, I should be somewhere in GBA right now with the CE's delegation. So I have to do this recording instead of being there with you at the event. I'm terribly sorry again. And today, with the Council's suggestion, I'm going to share with you my thoughts on CIC's construction digitization and my capacity as a tech and innovation functional constituency representative and LegCo, my thoughts on construction and construction using technology and construction digitalization. To start with, I think we can turn to the first page that actually the Development Bureau have announced a Construction 2.0 study, and it says time to change. Actually, it sums up a few problems facing the construction industry, and the core challenges include significant future construction volumes, high construction costs, unsatisfactory mega project performance, unsatisfactory site safety performance, declining productivity, a lack of creativity and innovation. So in fact, we all understand, from news and especially construction participants here, understand the construction accidents that we see in the past years. One case is too many. We want to avoid all kind of construction accidents, especially those involve casualties. We see that we have crane accidents, we have men died in building sites while we have people working on rollers in the past years. And if we go further and look into the numbers and the charts that I have here, actually the accident rate in construction industry has been improving. You can see from the left side chart the number of reportable accidents per $1 billion of construction output, and also the accident rate per 1,000 workers. They have gradually decreased for the last 10-15 years, and now it's gone to the 20-something cases per 1,000 workers. And if we look at the right side, the other chart in fatality rate in construction industries, with the accidents that happen, well, the fatality rate dropped down quite a bit between 2011 to 2016, and it sort of bounced back a little bit in the past few years, and it remains there, which is not optimal, but the fatality rate is not bad. But of course, as we said, one case is too many. So we still want to know how we can prevent accidents and also reduce the fatality rate happen in construction accidents. If we turn to the next page, we can see that actually we are quite aware, of the situations, and people have started to actually look at a lot of experiments and trying to have the construction members like you here to prevent accidents and look at what technology can provide to get efficiencies in work, reduce pressure on laborers, and also have more analytical enhancement to predict or prevent accidents. In fact, our chief executive, he has a statement earlier in April, and he sees the problem of labor crunch in our construction site. And I think the LegCo has many members reiterate the problem with construction shortage, labor shortage in construction already. So it's well known the situation in the shortage of labor. I quote CE John Lee said, construction transport sector set to get 10,000 slots in quota system, and we look forward to that happening soon. And if we look at the next page, what problem we face in construction is, one, we have a shortage of labor, as mentioned. If we look into the average age by different registered type of worker in construction sector, we have a steep challenge in a very aged labor force. The average age above 50 account for majority of most job functions in construction sector. Some even go to more than 90% in particular work type. That majority or super majority of the available labor are above 50 years of age. And if we look at the right side table, it's not something we anticipated. You know, in a work age distribution chart, we normally expect a reverse triangle where you have a large base in the younger worker at younger age, and then it become a reverse triangle. But what we have here is actually an almond shape age chart. So we have majority of our employees, our laborers in mid-age, and the average age is already 47 years old. And we're seeing less and less new member, younger population joining the sector. If you look at the 20 to 24 years of age, it accounts for a mere less than 4% of the total age among the age distribution. So how do we get younger member to join the construction sector is one key problem. And we look at the young member that have joined the workforce, and other scenarios or more usual cases we will see is a lot of the newly joined labor, they are Asian or South Asian descent. So we see from the news report here, it says, I also heard from many construction industry friends that it may lead to communication problems, because even though a lot of these Asian or Southeast Asian descents, they have been in Hong Kong for many years. Some even they were born and grown up in Hong Kong, but a lot of them still, in terms of the command of language, especially Cantonese, may not be very fluent. So it may cause problem in construction site when we need very clear instruction among different workers, so that you know where you store some machineries, how to handle some equipment can be clearly passed on. The message can be clearly passed on. So with more and more Asian and South Asian descent joining the industry as young worker, it may also cause concern if it's not a clear instructions being made to them and miscommunication in the languages. And if we look at, as we said, there are large number of, there's many construction works on the way. we'll look at these, the planning vision and strategy transcending 2030. We have few tunnels, bridge, highway, and the Zhao Yi Island reclamation, and also the Northern Metropolis. In Electrical, we already in the last year passed a large number of construction projects, and it will be the projects will kick off very soon in the next few years. So I would say that for construction works in the next 10 years, all our construction companies and workers should be occupied. And with the few more mega projects on the way, we really need to think about how we deal with the member shortage. And if we look at the a McKinsey report I have here, it shows that construction is one of the last industry to be digitized. It's not just digitized, but the use of technology in the way people work and how people handle work in the industries is among one of the slowest adopter. So we really need to look at one, improving, adding more labor into the scene, and at the same time what we can do in terms of technology to attract and improve efficiencies in the workspace. We all know about this case a few months back in Tsim Sha Tsui. A fire broke out in one of the hotel under constructions. It caused huge damages to the unfinished building. We think about it, can we prevent it? I think as a tech participant, I definitely think if we have better workplace technology, preventive systems with sensors, maybe we can do better preventive in this case, preventive action in this case. If we notice the fire break out maybe 10, 20, 30 minutes earlier and send out alert to relevant department, maybe we can save the scene from not breaking into a level 4 fire at the construction site. Sometimes things like these with simple technology, sensors and alert system, just an earlier notification may save a lot of damages. So how do we implement this technology is one good question, and we will all have the pressure to put these into our construction sites in future. Another case I want to share is as a member of a hospital authority. I'm also involved in hospital authorities IT development. I think the experience we can share is very successful cases demonstrated in the healthcare sector, which is also one of the slow adopter of technology, that we actually went from being a behind the scene IT team which only provide connectivity, provide backbone infrastructure work for the healthcare practitioners, to the last few years that IT is actually part of the healthcare team. They help the healthcare team to solve problems they cannot handle with just pharmaceutical or medical experience. So IT has really blended into the healthcare team, and they solve problems together while they're facing shortage in labor, just like the construction industry and many other problems they face in the healthcare sector. And I would say in the last few years, we see very good integration between our IT technology members and also the healthcare members at HA, that they see the value of technology and implemented many, let's say, telehealth and different pilot solution at the smart hospitals. And the IT members, that our technology employees and staff, also feel the entitlement of being in the healthcare team, that they are now not just doing technology solutions, they are also part of the team that save lives. They are actually in the healthcare system providing solution to, let's say, reduce waiting time, improve surgery efficiencies, provide clear data for patients so they understand better, what problem they have, when they need to consult clinicians, etc., etc. So IT also feel like they are part of the medical team, that they are saving human life. And that actually gave a very good cooperation between the technology team and also the medical team at Hospital Authority. And we launched our product after product to improve the medical practitioners' efficiency and technological innovation. So I think this is a great opportunity for construction industry to also take the practice of, hey, tech is part of our usual practice, is part of our work criteria, is part of the solutions we can provide to solve construction problems. I think as construction practitioners over there, you are all very aware of the things that I share, the problems that we face. Hopefully I want everyone to have this built in our mindset that technology is helping construction, and construction need technology in the process of providing the next stage of construction services and skill set, and build all these mega infrastructures in Hong Kong. That's all for my sharing today, and thank you, and sorry again for not being able to present, and I'll see you all very soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chu, for the opening remarks. So taking the opportunity at this very special occasion, Memorandum of Understandings will be signed between the Construction Industry Council, CIC, and 3 organizations to jointly promote the adoption of innovative construction technology and drive digital transformation for the Hong Kong construction industry. So may I firstly invite the Executive Director of CIC, Engineer Albert Chang, to come up to the stage as designee of CIC, please. And now, may I also invite the Executive Director of MIT Hong Kong Innovation Nord, Dr. Charleston Sin, to proceed on stage, being as the signee as well. Welcome, gentlemen. So may I now invite Engineer Albert Chang and Dr. Charleston Sin, please sign on the MOU. Thank you and congratulations. Now, would our guests please remain on stage and take a photo together with the digital signature on the screen, please. After signing the MOU, it will signify the official start of future collaboration in promoting of innovative design thinking and entrepreneurship in the Hong Kong construction industry. Thank you very much, and thank you, Dr. Sin. Please be seated. With Engineer Albert Chang, please remain on stage. And up next, may we invite the signee of Faculty of Architecture, the University of Hong Kong, Associate Dean of Research, Professor Wilson Liu, as the representative. Please proceed on stage. And I would also like to invite the Chairman of CIC, Engineer Thomas Ho, to the stage as the witness of CIC, please. And may I also invite the Faculty of Architecture, the University of Hong Kong's representative, to proceed on stage to be the witness on behalf of their institution. They are the Chair Professor of Urban Planning and Geographic Information Systems, Professor Anthony Yeh. And we also have the Head of Department, Professor Calvin Wong. Welcome, welcome our honorable guests. And now may I invite Engineer Albert Chang and Professor Wilson Liu, please sign on the MOU. Thank you, congratulations, thank you very much. Will all the guests please remain at the current position and take one photo together, please. Look at the center front at the official camera, please. Thank you, and please remain on stage. I would like to invite our witness, please come forward and take one more photo together. Thank you very much. We can get closer to each other to the center, please. And please look at the center front at the official camera. And this MOU will foster the collaboration to support and encourage wider adoption of innovative solutions and new technologies in the construction industry. Thank you and congratulations again. I would like to invite Engineer Albert Chang and Thomas Ho, please remain on stage. And thank you again, our honorable signee and witness of HKU FOA. Please be seated. Thank you. And up next, may I also invite Mr. Louis Fong, Consulting Director of Sensetime Group Limited, to come up to the stage as the signee, please. I would like to also invite Mr. Nixon Chow, Managing Director and General Manager of Sensetime Group Limited, to proceed on stage as the witness. Welcome. Once again, I would like to invite Engineer Albert Chang and Mr. Louis Fong. Please sign on the MOU. Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you very much. Please again remain at the current position and take one photo together with our digital signature on the screen. And yes, would our witness please proceed forward and take one more photo? It's such a precious moment for our construction industry. Thank you very much again. Let's put our hands together to thank our honorable guests. Thank you. Please proceed off stage and be seated. Thank you very much. So the MOU signing today will strengthen the collaboration between CIC and the three organizations. Together, we can enhance project delivery in terms of productivity, quality, safety, and health and sustainability in the construction industry. So now, to bring bright minds together, we are now pleased to have the CD Charter Pledges sharing section. Up next, we are pleased to welcome the Executive Director and Chief Technology Officer, Mr. Paul Evans from Gammon Construction Limited, to share with us as the main contractor of Charter Pledge. So let's put our hands together to welcome Mr. Evans.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Thomas, Albert, and Donald for the opportunity to speak today. So my part of the conversation is to really put a contractor's perspective around the subject today, and very happy to do so. So I'll touch on four main topic areas. I'm lucky, always when I come on second or third in a presentation, somebody's already presented on the Hong Kong market perspective, so it'll be a bit quick, and Duncan's already kindly introduced that, plus some of the challenges that we face. But then mainly, the main crux of the presentation is around the technology piece and then looking forward. So when we look at, I guess, there's been many presentations over recent months about really the opportunities ahead and the pipeline of work that's in front of us. I remember hosting a lunch with John Kwong from Development Bureau a few weeks ago where I said it's the 10 golden years of construction, and was quickly corrected by John to say it's at least 30 in terms of the pipeline of work that we've got ahead of it. You know, for really not just for the construction industry, but the developers, when you add all of that into the mix. But then out of that, we've got the great pipeline of work, but we've also got a lot of core challenges, and Duncan in his presentation touched on many of the points here in terms of we've got this huge volume ahead of us. We've got a construction market, when you look at it in comparison with other countries around the world, is very high. You know, we've delivered some really great projects. I've been in Hong Kong almost 30 years now, and seen some fantastic projects being delivered, but still with that, have we delivered them to the best of our capability? And I think we could do more there. And then with the safety performance, I mean, Thomas touched on that, Duncan as well. We've got to do better. And then you've got the productivity and perhaps the final one of really the lack of creativity and innovation. And I think the McKinsey report touched on that as the construction industry really not being a prime mover in the adoption of new technologies and innovation. And then we've got the manpower shortage. The aging demographic of 47 years is our average worker. We've got to find smarter ways. We've got to bring new talent into the industry. But then saying that, the journey's been ongoing for many years. But when you look at the more recent ones, the introduction of BIM on projects, and you know, I think back to doing my first drawings with ink and pen many years ago, and being the first to do the CAD software and the first BIM model. But you look how far we've come on that. But the point I'd make is how far we've come perhaps in the last 2 or 3 years in the way that we apply BIM across the construction projects that we do. And then it's not just BIM. Then how do we start to go to sort of the paperless, the smart digital solutions that take away all of those traditional processes that we normally use? So the introduction of DWSS version 1 back in 2020 took the market by a bit of shock. Almost overnight, you've now got to go paperless. But the market adapted, and now it's just part of the core way that we do things. More recently, we've had version 2 of DWSS, adding a few more functions in there, again, to sort of streamline the way we manage the projects overall and how that perhaps could integrate with the overall capital works platform that Development Bureau is pushing out for the whole of Hong Kong. And then perhaps the most groundbreaking piece of new initiative to come out in most recent times is the 4S. As it become, I'm getting a bit caught with all the acronyms now because they all merge to be very similar. But I think really what this does is it really does set a true roadmap and an intent from the industry, from the government in Hong Kong of how we start to shape and use technology to drive betterment in the way that we do things. And underpinned by that is the supporting documents. We're all very familiar with Construction 2.0, which is probably quite old now in terms of drafting, but then more recently, the Digitalisation Roadmap, and then the more recent publications around smart site digital platforms. So there's plenty of reference points there for us to start from. So when you look at it from a Gammon perspective, I mean, it's interesting, this graphic now seems to change on me every 6 months. So the green box has not really changed, and I think previously, we talked about how BIM is helping the Henderson Land project in Central. But BIM has moved so much further now, and we've seen examples of that already in the last presentation of not just looking at a 3D model, now bringing in 4D where we bring time into the equation, and then 5D as the previous example, to optimize one single source of truth in the BIM model to do many, many different things. You then look on the right side of the chart here from a construction perspective, and this is the one that keeps changing on me. Originally, I had technologies in there, but now after the 4S, I've looked at it really from a use case, and I'll talk a little bit more about how we're trying to approach that going forward. But we've got the paperless, the DWSS applications now. We've got the 4S, which is really an embodiment of a platform to manage safety and technology around safety on projects. And it brings in AI, it brings in IoT, brings in other technologies out there. You've then got the way that we manage the environment, and we do monitoring around our structures and the various condition monitoring around sites. Again, IoT, very, very low on the adoption curve at the moment, but we'll see that really explode over the next few years. We then start to think about how we bring in, and it's interesting with Sensetime here today, I remember going to a presentation probably 18 months ago about how AI-enabled CCTV now gives us so many more opportunities, from site progress tracking, productivity monitoring, to safety, to many other different applications. And then how do we all bring this all together into sort of one digital sort of platform for managing quality on the project, safety on the projects? And then the other part that we see is with our high productivity initiatives that we've got of moving towards MIC, MIMEP, we start to shift from being traditional construction company now, looking more at being a logistics management contractor with the manufacturing mindset. So we need to have digital solutions that allow us to start managing logistics smartly. And we'll touch a little bit as we go through. But then Thomas talked about really the whole life of a construction cycle. So the green box and the blue are what we're used to normally in traditional construction. But then we've got to add in the FM and the whole of life aspect of this, so that we don't lose the data, don't lose the information that we collect during that design, planning, construction phase, but it can go through the whole of the project life cycle. And then in the bottom left-hand corner is that we collect lots of information. How do we visualize that? We've got such power now when we've got the types of BIM caves and all these other applications out there to start to visualize what the BIM model can show us, and the other digital applications through dashboarding and the rest. But all of that generates a massive amount of information. So how do we pull all that information into one central place and start to manage it as a single source of truth, as a common data environment? So that's really what we've got in the sense with the graphic here. And that, when you look at all of those component parts, they really do bring together what the heading of the slide is an integrated digital project delivery. And it's not just for the construction phase, it's that end-to-end for the whole project life cycle. So here's an example of how we start to use BIM, but not just in the sense of doing drawings or producing drawings for construction. Thomas talked about safety by design. So how can we now start to use the BIM model to engineer out safety issues, to engineer out potential clashes on site or issues that could sort of slow a project down because we've not really got the sequence right? And then how do we build on that BIM model to start to do 4D simulations, to do virtual rehearsals at different stages? But one thing we're starting to see now is the BIM models are getting much, much bigger. And the example I quote on the top of the slide there is the T2 terminal project at the Hong Kong airport now. Probably one of the larger BIM models in Hong Kong, if not probably the largest. So we've got 700 different BIM models there. Just on a daily basis, if all we tried to do was archive those BIM models, all we'd be doing is archiving and not actually drawing anything. So, and one of the things we've done there is the first time to really put a large-scale project to be a cloud-based project delivery, because you just can't manage it as basically an on-project sort of operation anymore. So it's really set new challenges for the way that we manage information, the way we manage a BIM model and BIM delivery across the projects. You then start to look at really the 4S and the game changer that's going to be for the industry. And down the right-hand side is there, you've got really the paperless, the digital work supervision system, how we look at site work monitoring and admin systems, safety monitoring and site monitoring. And really what that's doing now is how do we start to bring in smart technologies to help us do all those traditional things that we used to do by paper, by much more manual processes. The one part out of this, though, is that what we've got to do is get the technology into the hands of the frontline workers. And one of the things that we've tried to do within Gammon is start to really use the mobile phones. Try and get all of the applications in the hands of a worker or a supervisor or one of the young guys that's working on the jobs to start to really use the power of all that information we saw on the previous slide and put that really into the hand of the front line. And then equally with that, to then, from that information we're collecting, start to use that to do data analytics, to get insights from the information. You can then take it to the next extreme. Really, anything out on the construction site, we can put a QR code on. We can then tag that QR code to its information database. The example we're running here is around some basic stuff, lifting equipment. We can link that back to the test certs, to the suppliers' details, and so on, and put all of that on the same iPhone that you saw on the previous one. Again, lots of information, the hands of the frontline guys. There should be no excuse now for things being out of date, and equally that can then get tagged with the approval date when it needs to be re-inspected. Somebody tries to use it and it's not been certified, it puts an alarm up. This is where the AI side of things starts to come in. This is a POC trial that we did on one of our residential projects, and we put different coloured helmets on the workers and tried to track and sort of really ascertain floor cycles. So laying the rebar, laying the concrete, tracking the worker sequence, and then from that to start to look at productivity cycles for the various workers going up a building. Fairly early technology. There's a lot of people starting to look at this, but it's an area where the maturity has not really reached our industry yet, but I feel it's really got massive benefit. And one of the aspects of 4S is how we track workers on site. I'd say at the moment some of the technologies maybe not mature enough, but they'll come now we've set the use case. And I think we'll, excuse me, we'll start to see more and more of this of putting smart camera technology on site so we can start to track safety much better, track productivity much better. And equally then, bringing back again to the safety theme of how we start to apply AI again in different aspects of where this was a project where we're working very close to the operating MTR. And obviously lifting within an operating railway environment, very, very sensitive, very high risk. Again, using AI capabilities to sort of manage that safety risk in those areas. You then come onto the QA side. And one of the interesting parts of the last few years, I mean, we've been very fortunate to have two very large MIC projects as Gammon. But with COVID, we weren't allowed to travel into the mainland to look at the factories. So how do we now shift 40% of what we'd normally build on our projects in Hong Kong into a factory in China, but we can't go there? So we had to very quickly develop new digital applications to start to manage the quality, to oversee the quality within the factories in China. And what you're seeing here is just a small example of that. Still early days, but the more shift that we see now into off-site manufacture, into the adoption of MIC in a factory environment means that we've got to manage things in a very, very different way than we perhaps would do in the past. And then equally with that, of how do we bring all the records into one single place? So if somebody wants to retrieve information on a project, then that's where we start to bring in the DWSS platform. But when we started that on one of our projects 2 years ago, it started off as just how do we digitize paper records? But very quickly, can we then now integrate that DWS on one project with another? Can we connect it with IoT? Can we connect it with BIM models? So what we're now starting to see is really connected solutions all coming together into one centralized platform. So then you come onto the visualization side and really where 4S starts to really take its place within the industry. And you know, a lot of people talk about BIM, but BIM has got many extensions. So you've got BIM plus GIS plus IoT plus AI, and you can add on all the different technologies. But that's where 4S will now start to change things for everybody in the room. That we're now going to have to integrate all those different technologies to really benefit the industry and benefit the way we do things. Oops, there we go. So this is Gammon's, I guess, version 1.0, we're calling it. I'm already on version 2 at the moment in terms of development. Of really, how do we now start to look at a digital twin, put that into a smart site supervision, or the 4S sort of environment, and really make it as a powerful tool for everybody on the project, not just the contractor, but also the client's team, the consultant teams out there. And this is a project that we're only just starting at the moment, so it's an ideal one to roll this out on, which is the ASD Quanton composite development just down the road. And it's a design and build project, and we're now starting to see how we can adopt basically the digital twin platform, the 4S, across that project. Tonkin Street project. MIC was shifted 40% of what we'd normally build in Hong Kong off-site to a factory. How do we start to use the BIM model from a planning and controls tool? So we start to integrate the different types of MIC units coming to site. We link that up with the floor cycle. We link that up with the planning tools on the project. And we start to then use the BIM model in a much more interactive way. Then on the site utilization planning, again with it, of combining the technologies of BIM plus GIS with a bit of other digital stuff in there. So, I mean, this is a little bit of a gimmick if you want to call it that, but it's a good starting point of how do we now start to use, I guess, the existing built environment with what we're going to construct from a BIM model and start to overlay the temporary works in there, overlay the construction plan, overlay the different safety measures that we need to do on a project. So that's just a very quick snapshot. I could normally talk for much longer. I know when I get going, I can keep going, but just a quick insight into some of the technologies. But for me, I think the 4S is a game changer for the industry. If we all adopt that and really try hard to bring these different technologies together, it will make a difference. And it takes us all to do that. So I've just got a final couple of slides just around really shaping the future. And really for all of this technology to work, the big part for me is around the people. So I think we previously talked about the end-to-end sort of nature of what we do from a built asset, and I think Thomas touched on it. But there's many players within that sort of delivery model. And I think if we're all being honest with us, there's quite a few silos there where everybody operates quite independently. And, you know, we've got to think of, you know, that's the way we are today, but with all these technologies, of really how should we be looking at in the future. And I think out of that, what it will start to do is create new industry job roles and skills. We'll start looking at multi-skilling. So instead of just being one siloed sort of skill set, we've now got to start looking at it from a manufacturing mindset to a construction to an operator mindset, maybe all in one go, to really get the benefits. And then equally with that, how do we upskill all the generations? You know, we say we've got a very aging workforce within Hong Kong. That's not going to change in the short term. So we've got to not just concentrate on the younger people within our projects, but across the whole of the generation that's involved. And also we're going to modernize the workplaces that we put up for people to work in. And that's going to create some new generations of the Construction 2.0 document we saw at the start. And really my final slide here then is that what we're trying to do out of all of this is, you know, the technology on its own is not going to go anywhere unless the people using that technology are willing to adopt it and apply it in the everyday works. And what you see here is really, I guess, the typical sort of project players on the project. You've got the front line, what we often term as the real guys that are at the front line of all the construction operations. We've got our engineers, we've got our project managers, and then we've got the leadership. And the technology will start to touch each of those people at different levels throughout the overall construction life cycle. But all of that must come back into this single source of truth, this integrated digital platform, the 4S, all these different acronyms you want to put on it, they're all the same. But to do that, we've got to start to enable our people, we've got to train our people, and we've got to start to empower our people to use the technologies. So that's my presentation for today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Evans, for the informative sharing. Thank you. Please be seated. And to our audience, once again, after our Charter Pledges sharings, there will be a discussion forum, and we would like to invite our audience to participate by sending us your questions or your opinions. Thank you. And up next, we are pleased to welcome the Director, East Asia Digital Design Automation Leader, Mr. Ramon van der Hayden from Arab, to give us a sharing as AEC Consultant of Charter Pledges. Let's put our hands together to welcome Ramon.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much for the invitation to speak here today. It's a real pleasure and my honor. So, welcome to this talk on digitalization in Arab, and today we're going to explore how Arab is leading the way in the digital landscape, driving innovation and creating lasting value for our clients. So at Arab, we understand, as everywhere else, that digitalization is not just a buzzword. It is a fundamental shift in the way we work, collaborate, and create solutions with and for our clients. Through skills, leadership, and a shift to data-centered thinking, we are constantly striving to push the boundaries of what's possible with technology. And we have been going digital for quite some time already. Take, for example, our work on the Sydney Opera House. Using advanced digital modeling techniques, we were able to create a highly accurate 3D model of the iconic structure, allowing for detailed analysis and optimization of its complex geometry. This not only saved time and money, but also ensured that the Opera House could be maintained and upgraded more effectively in the future. But that's just the beginning. Our digitalization efforts extend across all of our services, from infrastructure and buildings to energy and sustainability. We're using advanced data analytics to optimize the performance of our projects, improving energy efficiency, reducing waste, and minimizing environmental impact. So in the next video, we'll be exploring how the data flow and engineering processes at Arab represents full project workflows. Each task in the project workflow produces data that is then used as inputs for the next task. So what we can see here is a little bit of a diagrammatic approach of showing on when we start a project. On the left-hand side, we receive information from the developer, from the client. And on the right-hand side, we deliver information to the contractor. This could be BIM models, this could be drawings, this could be Excel reports. And in the middle space, that's our space as engineers and consultants. And we produce this information because we as consultants, we don't deliver buildings or bridges or tunnels, but we deliver information about bridges or buildings and tunnels. And so therefore we are very much actually an information information industry and information business. And this information is produced still very much in kind of formats that are not always easy to interpret from a machine point of view. But if we want to automate our processes, we're going to have to start thinking about how can we structure this information and how do we store that in places that people can have access to it. So the common data environment has been mentioned already a few times. BIM, of course, is a huge part of this. So this video will explain how we look at that. So the digital transformation for Arab in our region is all about understanding our industry as an information industry. Any typical project stage will start with the information that we receive when we begin, and it will end with the information that we deliver. So any deliverable that we're used to, like drawings, reports, calculations, and 3D models, for instance, they can just be considered as data containers or data sets, we can call them. These data sets are typically created through a process of different tasks that keep enriching the information of the data every step along the way. Each process creates a new data set based on the available information and the skills of the engineers combined with their knowledge and their experience. Now, it is important that this data is stored in a location where anyone can have access to it and in a format that anyone can read, because having this data stored in a consistent way will really facilitate automizing the processes that we would normally do manually. A design or engineering project should be regarded as a machine where information freely flows from one process to the next. Any manual tasks will be performance bottlenecks to the entire project. We need to minimize the number of manual tasks and maximize the amount of automated processes. So hopefully it is clear that this is not just about tool building and not just about technology. We're investing heavily in the skills and training of our people, ensuring that they have the knowledge and expertise that makes the most of the latest digital tools and techniques. We are organizing region-wide leadership, training programs, boot camps, and secondments. The digital learning path we have developed, for instance, is designed to help our people develop the digital skills and knowledge they need to stay ahead of the curve in today's rapidly evolving digital landscape. It includes a range of courses, workshops, and resources that cover topics such as data analytics, digital design tools, and emerging technologies like AI and machine learning. One of the key benefits of this learning path is that it's aligned with our overall digital strategy, ensuring that our people are developing the skills and knowledge that are most relevant to our business needs. It is also designed to be accessible to everyone, regardless of their level of digital literacy or experience. And at Arab, we believe that in order to achieve success in anything, but digitalization specifically, it is important to have clear goals and targets in place. This is why we use portals such as the Digital Maturity Measure and the Digital Implementation Plan to help us set and measure our progress towards these goals. The Digital Maturity Measure is a framework that allows us to assess our digital maturity across different areas of our business, including strategy, culture, skills, and technology. This framework helps us to identify areas where we need to improve and develop a roadmap to move towards our digital goals. Similarly, the Digital Implementation Plan is a portal that helps us to set targets and track progress towards achieving our digital goals. This plan outlines the specific actions and initiatives that we need to take in order to achieve our goals and includes metrics and KPIs to measure our progress along the way. And on top of all that, all operational groups are setting targets that are aligned with regional priorities. These priorities are related to learning, digital maturity, as well as the adoption of our automation platforms and tools, which I will tell you more about in a minute. And we are recording real-time data about the use of technology, platforms, and tools across the whole of Arab. That way we can have real-time insights into the rate of transformation in our company. We can see which projects in which region are using which digital products. And similarly, we can assess the value of our digital investments by knowing how many projects are actually adopting them. So now let's have a quick look at Arab's digitalization roadmap, which is already originating from 2017. So while this diagram is already 6 years old, the milestones outlined in this roadmap are still very much valid and relevant today. As you can see from the diagram, our digitalization roadmap consists of 6 key milestones, and these are kind of designed to achieve incremental change. So we go through these steps on every project in every year in every group, and we keep improving. That's why it's a circle, and it keeps just going round. And these milestones are designed to guide our digitalization efforts and ensure that we're making progress towards our overall digital goals. So digitalization, it means automation. And at Arab, we talk about automating everything. Our robust automation ecosystems makes everything more efficient, creative, and productive, no matter the task. At every stage of a project's life cycle, automation boosts our effectiveness in countless ways. We have created a large number of digital platforms that allows automation on all our projects. And the following video presents a quick overview of some of those platforms.
When we say that we automate everything, it's not an idle boast. This map illustrates how Arab's robust automation ecosystem can make things more efficient, creative, and productive, whatever the task at hand. At every stage of a project's life cycle, automation quietly boosts our effectiveness in a myriad of ways. We have been cultivating and growing data sets for all sorts of tasks, producing amazing insights for clients, revealing better ways of working, or creating incredible new designs. We're always developing new tools to automate types of data, speed up standard calculations, or provide bridges between apps and platforms made by other providers. We've also taken time to define globally consistent industry data standards for use on industry tools like Revit and Tekla that helps our teams and clients to collaborate on complex projects and models all over the world. We embed automation to reimagine how data is interpreted and used to ultimately generate better value and facilitate decision-making for our teams and clients. Automation runs through all our work at Arab. It's part of our working DNA. It fuels our thinking, reveals new insights and solutions, and brings ever greater impact, efficiency, and creativity to some of the world's most complex built environment projects.
So one of the key developments in Arab as part of the automation portfolio is the Total Design Automation Platform. TDA is a platform that allows easy creation of enterprise-grade web apps from automation scripts developed by our engineers and designers themselves. These web apps are easy to share, update, and maintain. Designers and engineers who develop these apps only need to care about the actual engineering logic that can be scripted with common skills such as Grasshopper and Python. All platform functionalities such as sign-in, parallel app execution, data streaming, versioning of apps, and user interface is taken care of by the platform and the team that maintains it. So the end users are presented with easy-to-use and intuitive web interfaces to automated tools without having to install any software or libraries. App developers can either simply drag and drop their scripts or develop more complex interactive apps with convenient UI building blocks. And through Inform, TDA puts generative design, parametric design, and design optimization in the hands. I need to make sure that they all start. In the hands of all our engineers. It is foundational for Arab's digitalization. It has the potential to improve everything we do when designing and delivering world-class projects. From urban design to lighting, energy and acoustic design to structural optimization and facade fabrication. So just a few quick examples. Of course, you know, there's just little time and we have so many great examples. But for instance, here a parametric design approach on hillside solar farms. So a parametric design approach is a method of creating designs through the use of parameters or variables that can be adjusted to produce different variations of the design. So in this approach, the design is not created as a fixed set of drawings or plans, but rather as a set of rules or equations that can generate a range of design options based on different inputs or parameters. To create a parametric layout for a hillside solar farm, the user can define parameters such as site location, orientation, panel size, spacing, electrical cable requirements, and other relevant factors. And these parameters would then be used to generate a series of design options that meet the specified criteria. And this has been used all over the world at the moment to help the energy companies select their sites and create the designs and the panel layouts for their hillside solar farms. Just an example, another example here is around parametric design for other disciplines as well. So of course this includes structural, MEP and civil structures, but also here we can see an example of geotechnics. Where one parametric script, for instance, can generate the layout of the struts for excavation lateral support, ELS, and another script can generate the detailed sections and elevations showing all relevant data in a 2D drawing. And this is all based on skills I mentioned before, such as Grasshopper and Python, and it's just these basic skills that can be deployed on basically every discipline that we have. And from first principles, we can create all these data-rich models that we can use from one step to the next. But it's not all easy, right? Digitalization presents both opportunities and challenges also for Arab. One of the main challenges is overcoming resistance to change among employees and collaborators who may be hesitant to adopt new technologies and processes. This can slow down the pace of digitalization and limit its potential benefits. So to address this challenge, strong support from leadership is crucial. In Arab, there is strong leadership, and I can see on a day-to-day basis how this is really making a difference. And the leadership team must communicate the benefits of digitalization, provide the necessary resources and training to help employees adapt, and foster a culture of innovation and continuous improvement. So setting measurable goals is also difficult. Even once outcomes are defined and measured, it can be difficult to attribute changes in those outcomes to specific initiatives or interventions, making it challenging to accurately assess the impact of those efforts. So by leveraging its resources and expertise, the Hong Kong government can play a key role in driving the digital transformation. I'm sure that's why we are all here as well, and we can see it happening on a day-to-day basis. In the digital transformation of the construction industry and promoting the use of digital practices such as building information modeling and common data environments. Modernizing the process of building approval can set off a chain reaction of digitalization in the construction industry. And similarly, it would be good to have agreed ways of exchanging data with our clients and collaborators. If we can agree on methods and formats to exchange data in structured formats rather than on drawings and PDFs, for instance, we can all leverage digitalization and automation to a fantastic level. So I hope that this overview has given a clear picture of what the digitalization roadmap for an AEC consultant looks like. So we've had a roadmap in place for many years, and we will keep working hard to make progress along this road. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Thank you, Ramon, for the fruitful sharing. Thank you very much. Please be seated. Thank you. So now, ladies and gentlemen, here is our last sharing. May we welcome the Senior Engineer and BIM Coordinator, Mr. Jerry Chan, and Head of Project Information Management and BIM Manager, Mr. Kevin Wong from Wings and Associates Consulting Engineers Limited to come up to the stage, please. Welcome. And they will be sharing with us as the AEC consultant of Charter Pledge as well. So I'll pass the time to you, please.
Okay. Good afternoon. Thank you, CIC, Thomas Ho, Albert Chang, and Donald Choi. Thank you. Thank you for inviting us for sharing on our digitalization roadmap for Wings and Associate Consulting Engineer. I'm Kevin Wong, the Head of Project Information Management. together with my colleagues, Jerry Chen. He will talk about, after my part, about project experience. We appreciate, inspired by lots of large company on the digitalization roadmap. We learn a lot. It's time to talk about small company. So we are SME. We start locally SME. So before we talk about the roadmap, we start with a little bit background of our company, because not all the people know about Wings & Associates. So this company established since 2015. We are a company known for innovation, and it's a group of engineers. The director of the company is Winston Tam, and he founded this company. So we start 2015 with 20 people. We are a very traditional local company at that moment. So we start one step by one step. We move every 2 years because we keep expanding. So 3 people, 10 people, and 20 people. And then suddenly you will see that the number of people jump a lot since 2018. At that time, I was appointed by Wings & Associates as the head of the project information management. We start to think about digitalization and BIM and the use of the technology. So the third office expansion, fourth, fifth, and now we have 120 people in the company. So it's amazing, but at the same time, lots of challenge. We are very traditional. We are a member of the Institute of Civil Engineers and the operator of the training scheme for the Hong Kong Institution of Engineers, Hong Kong IE. So we have lots of young engineers. The average engineer in the company is aged about 32. So a very young company. And here you see that the hierarchy, very simple. There's an engineer, there's a BIM team, and also there's a surveyor team. So we're composite with different business sector combined into one single company to serve the client. So talk about digitalization. So there's challenge. We are typical local SME in Hong Kong. As I say, I mentioned about SME because small to medium-sized enterprise in Hong Kong constitute about 80% of the economy in Hong Kong. But at the same time, SME, what is meant by SME? It's meant by short of money enterprise. Okay? So one man do all. Not easy to hire good people because this company is very small. It's not easy to attract talent to join your company. We are doing traditional business because engineering design is very traditional. There's no way out, right? So if you're doing traditional business, you get traditional stream of income. We have to take out. We have to find a way out. That's the first way out. We think about how to transform our company into a digitalization company and open more business stream. So what we are doing to do is, there's 2 slides talking about this secret recipe. So pay attention, okay? So in 2021, we think about what is the best BIM software to use for moving into the BIM. At that moment, government pushed a lot on BIM. They give a lot of thanks for CIC, lots of CITF funding. We make use of it. So we choose the right BIM software, deploy adopting the open BIM. But at that time, we make a very important decision. We think about if we cannot rely only on one software, because we have different kind of design, meet different scenario. So we adopt the open BIM approach. We hope that all the information should be managed well inside one silo. We follow the Development Bureau BIM uses, and then we think about people. We need to do a lot of BIM training. But if the people go out to training, there's no one to work at the office because we're very small, right? So what I'm doing is I propose lots of internal BIM training. I do a lot of training every 2 nights and push the people, train. Make sure everyone get the upskill on the BIM. from the basic to medium to the advanced, how to apply on the project. We follow up the project, we try pilot project, we used all the skill set into our project. And then we should have some regulation to regulate the better information management. So we go for ISO 19650. So we successfully get the certificate. It's one of the, I think this the first SME for engineering company to get the ISO 19650 in Hong Kong. And then finally achieve the first milestone is the all beam enabled 全民皆 beam. Implement the ISO in all new beam project internally, and then establish the beam object library to make sure all the things we establish can be shared among our colleagues. And then the next year, which is last year, we start to be full beam. We want to approach to level 3. So we set up our internal common data environment within our engineers. So, so that with all the project, we'll apply our ISO process and the CIC beam standard in all the projects. And then we implement the full beam from the design to construction. So we hope everything start with BIM model and all they follow the full beam life cycle from the design to construction. Even after we deploy our design into construction on the site, we're still using our beam model to facilitate the process. And make sure that all the engineers, even including the surveyors and also the beam team within the beam team, all that accredit CCBM, CCBC, and MHK IBM and AHK IBM. So everyone get as much as they can, you know. So now we have 8 CCBC in one team and 4 CCBM in our company. And finally, we implement an integrated project delivery approach, which is the engineer, BIMers, and surveyors work together to bid the job. So our winning chance increased 400% of the winning chance, and the job is keep coming. So in short, so we have 2 stages in overall. The first year, talk about BIM. We also establish our own BIM training room so that everybody will work in the one single room to exchange ideas and make sure our project life cycle following the ISO 19650 and in this CDE, in one internal CDE. And also we put our Scheme A in our Hong Kong IE Scheme A, mandatory for all the engineer to put their BIM experience in the logbook. So I think this is a very good move for them to have aware and also how to apply the BIM. So this is one of the very happy news from them. Last year, they get ISO cert for part 1 and part 2. When you also establish a company by joining today's Digitalisation Charter, and also it become the caring company to recognized by the Hong Kong government. We build up the culture, we think big, because we know start from small is not easy. So we gear up our BIM skill by technology training room in our BIM room for all the young engineer. We want the young engineer to, you know, to give out the energy to everyone, to those old people, old engineer, so that they can get the feeling, oh, okay, I also need to gear up ourselves into BIM. And we also pay attention to our social media. So looking at the YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, you can see wings. And we actually use all the technology throughout our project lifecycle, from the design down to the design. So you will see there lots of advanced technology. So we will keep using it onto the sites. Okay, this is one of the mixed reality application, for example. And getting the award is very important. So make sure that, because once you get the award, your colleagues will feel they achieved something. And this is one of the very important coaching process to make sure your company moving into BIM-enabled company. So we get lots of Hong Kong BIM institution of BIM award company, it's free. And we adopt the open BIM approach, as I said. So we focus on information management between the BIM software instead of relying on one software modeling. We improved the team communication by CDE, both internally and externally with our clients, so as to minimize the impact on business due to the collaboration hiccups. Because all the information is recognized in one single source of truth, so whenever you get the most updated software, most updated information, go to the CDE. So it won't be like everywhere. So everyone has the same thinking and know where to find the information. So we get some international award. So we award the international award, the Merit Award for the Hong Kong Open BIM OpenGIS Award last year for one of the projects we managed. And also, of course, the CIC appreciation. So we award the Celebration of BIM Achievement Award last year by CIC for our company. And the second way out, because the BIM already quite mature as our company, because we start 4 years ago, so now it start to very mature inside our company. And then we start to think about how to move into another stage. So we think about automation intelligence is the way out. The reason behind that, because it's not easy to hire people now in Hong Kong, and no shortage of talent people, or even the graduate engineer is not easy to find. So how can you reduce the reliance on the urgent people or the headcounts to help out your project? Because the project is getting more in Hong Kong, but people is getting less. So the automation is the way out. So we think about the second way out. So we hire a programmer. We hire the project manager for the programming. We establish an R&D team. And then we go into the award as well again. So we will find award in the BIM automation arena 2 months ago, which is very appreciated on our development. So I hope this sharing could give you more insight on how a small company into a medium-sized company, and hopefully in the future, we're going to a large company like all of us. Okay? Thank you so much for my part, and now I pass my time to Jerry.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for CIC and give me a chance to speak here. Thank you, Thomas. Thank you, Albert. Thank you, everyone, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to share my footsteps into digitalization. This project experience is the sample showing our footsteps into the digitalization world. In the very beginning, we got a job of the DST Cherry Street box cover DWFI project. It's the adoption of the DFMA project using the traditional way of design. But later we found that using the traditional way cannot show the conflicts between the precast segments. You can't really see in a 3D way based on a 2D drawing, right? The precast segment, once we cast in the delivery to the site, is harder to alter the rebar arrangement. So at that time, we decided to think bold to rebar model every segment of the DFMA project involved. So showing the conflict between every segment and showing the installation sequence of the precast segments and generate the shop drawing with the bar banding schedule for offset prefabrication. But somebody at that time might think, wow, you are so wasting time in such a tight program project using this, at that time was new software to our company. As you know, we are small and medium enterprises. There's a huge investment as well. But later on, we think maybe using the traditional construction methodology is flexible on site. The rebar fixer can change the length, anchorage, and some other related details on site flexibly. But flexible did not bring you a successful project accuracy or will. And if using this technology is helping you advancedly solving the crash problem, advancing doing the cost estimation work, why not? We take the first step into the digitalization world, and we made the DFMA design with the assistance of the technical structures to conduct the rebar detailing works. And our digitalized world is at first time aligned with the real world. And based on our first experience, we tried to apply the technology into some other traditional civil projects, like the DFMA projects in the widening road project in the Lima Hang Lo. The pier was designed in the DFMA manner, using a couple shells overlay each other. But as you can see, the model showing the starter bar of the lower layer of the segment will intersect into the upper layer. So it must be precisely control the rebar arrangement. But like the old time, it's hard to present the curvature of the rebar and the shape of the rebar at the corner section. So once again, we try to use the technical structure to model the rebar model and present it to our client to prove its feasibility. But by the way, using this software in this project is not paid additionally, so we still using the traditional price for the new project. This is quite a bold move in my boss' view. And with such experience in past projects using the rebar beam modeling, we try to step into the digital fabrication world. As you will see, we basically just rebar fixed it and casted the precast segment or other concrete structures in the computer. And theoretically, every information is trappable. It can be exported, can be obtained. So digital fabrication is the next step. So in our CKRE digital fabrication project, we modeled a section of the bridge. Every rebar was drawn in the technical structure, including other street furniture like the lighting and the gaoli. Speaking of the bridge structure, congested rebar condition is very common. When it comes to the site, it may happen the casting bar for the lightning pole is clashed with the main bar of the power pad. The gaoli structure is clashed with the horizontal bar of the bridge segment. That's very common. But using the technical structure, building the digitally built bridge structure can solve the problem in advance. So you don't need to wait for the site to adjust. You can adjust it before the project commences. So like I said, we digitally built the bridge in the computer, and we used the computer to export the BBBS, like a series of code, then can send to the prefabrication yard for digital fabrication. The process is quite simple. It's simple. When they receive the code, and they use a scanner to scan the QR code, then the rebar will be bent automatically by the machine, and turns out it will be exactly the same like remodeled in the software. That's simple, but that's like thousands or 10,000s of the rebar. If you bend manually, it will cost lots of time. Using the digital fabrication, it's more time saving, and the wastage control is more precisely. This is the demonstration of the digital model of the real-world bridge structure under construction. And we can see the model in the viewer that contained with the light pole. But how will we address the lap length in the 3D model and the 2D typical drawing? This will show the example. We can cut a section of the model and highlight the lap length in the model, showing if it complies to the typical drawing. In our application of digitalization technology, we mainly want to address 4 points in the civil engineering industries. The first one is to boost the productivity. The second is to uplift the build quality to ensure a better quality of civil engineering project. And the third is to improve the site safety, as the site safety is the major concern in recent years. And last is the enhancement of the environmental performance. Last, I want to say, if a small and medium enterprise like Wings can digitalize and keep digitalizing, the digitalization future for other local consultants, for other SME in Hong Kong is still very promising. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jerry, for the sharing. And of course, thank you, Kevin, for the sharing as well. Once again, thank you very much to our charter pledgees for your fruitful sharing. And now we are going to have a short break of 5 minutes. After the break, we will enter the discussion forum section. And we welcome our audience, no matter in physical or our virtual audience, to raise your questions and share your ideas for the discussion forum later. For our next section, we are happy to gather a group of industry practitioners going to share with us their experience and lesson to learn in developing the organizational digitalization roadmap and how to promote construction digitalization in the industry in the following discussion forum. So for our audience attending physically or virtually, please share your ideas and join us through scanning the QR code now showing on the screen. First of all, I would like to invite the moderator of this section to proceed on stage first. Let's put our hands together to welcome Architect Donald Choi, the Chairperson Task Force on Construction Digitalization of the CIC. Welcome. And of course, I would like to invite the following speakers to come up to the stage. Let's put our hands together to welcome Mr. Ip Yin Yong from Henderson Land Development Company Limited. And we have Mr. Paul Evans from Gammon Construction Limited. Mr. Michael Kwok from Arab. And Mr. Kevin Wong from Wings and Associates Consulting Engineers Limited. Welcome, our panelists. Please be seated. Thank you. And now I'll pass the time to you, Architect Choi, please.
All right. First of all, again, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to all the speakers and the participation in advancing digitalizations. And I think by today's sharing of very valuable experience, it's a critical kind of a milestone for us to move forward. There are many questions from the floor, and I will start with a question to Mr. Evans. And I think the question is, really, can you share the ballpark figure of investment costs for construction digitalization?
It's very easy now because CIC have published it. Yeah? So if you're doing a 4S, it's sort of 1% of the construction value up to a top of 10 million. No, I mean, but joking apart, I mean, I think the investment in technology is scalable. I mean, we've seen from an SME perspective of starting from let's call it humble means and building up that, and then obviously for an organisation like Gammon or Arab, you're at a different end of the scale, perhaps in terms of the investments needed. But the It's difficult to put a number. I have a construction budget that when Thomas was in his past role, kindly donated to me on a yearly basis to, and I won't properly answer the question.
Okay. Thanks.
But I think the simple part with it is that it's not so much looking at what the investment is. How do you get the benefits out of the money that you spend on what you put in? And making sure that those benefits are measurable. And perhaps that's the part where the focus needs to be not how much you spend, but how you measure and how do you really get true benefit from what you're investing. Yeah.
I think,
so I'm speaking like a politician. So.
No. I think it's a very relevant because the next question is really asking about the expectation of return of investment on the development of automation and digitalizations. Maybe why as developers, you will be able to give us some answer on this. Why actually developer is willing to invest in the digitalization? There must be a return in it, right?
Frankly speaking, for the real figure, it's difficult to count. Because as a developer, we are not only to do $1 in and then $2 out that business, because something we cannot measure. Like today, we are talking about ESG, safety, smart construction, something like that. We not only benefit for the project itself, but also benefit for the whole company and also the world. So this is not really what we need to measure. As I mentioned, ROI, yes, we need to do, but what we need to invest for that kind of technology, frankly speaking, is not a big part for the overall, from the company-wise. So it is the worst to do a lot apart from the money part, but also the growth itself, the images, and for the future, sustainability, all that kind of things. Yeah.
Good, because I think this will allow Weigott to have a few more minutes to the toilet.
Yes.
Right, and the next question, I think, is to Kevin. Yes. The OpenBIM is a good approach to use the familiar software to make the model. But can you share a bit more on how it is delivered to contractors from stage to stage? I guess the process, how, throughout the stakeholders, how that being applied.
Okay, thanks so much for the question. So first of all, OpenBIM is relatively is not new things, but it's getting more mature and mature. So open means in our process, we have to make sure the data is able to share across different parties from whenever software they come from. The reason behind is that we make sure that the information itself is not stick to particular technology or software, because we need to hand over the data to different parties and the different stakeholders eventually. So at the beginning, when you think about in the long term and the whole life cycle, how the process will be managed, the information from design to construction to handover, to make sure at least you have a good set of data which is able throughout the whole life cycle without changing too much. So at the beginning, the planning is very important. Why we adopt this approach? Because we know we want to reduce the out of expectation, the hiccups during the process. So that's why we plan ahead what kind of information which we could throw from beginning to the end. So that's why when we do the OpenBIM approach, we do this planning, good planning, and eventually deliver to the client, and also make sure internally we understand the process. It's very important, because if only one party or one department using is not enough. Make sure the whole department, whole company know what is going on, and then it could be delivered.
All right, thank you. The next question maybe I can ask Michael, because this question is about who is the right party to initiate the digitalization journey. And again, I think Arab being, one of the leaders in this field, maybe you can elaborate a bit more on who is the right person or party within the industry, but also within our organization.
Okay, thank you, Donald. But I first want to just thank my colleagues, Ramon, who did the more difficult part to prepare the presentation a bit. So I'm doing the easier part to come up to the stage. But it's all about teamwork. I think, Donald, your question is very important. I think, particularly for organization, everyone in the organization have to play a part. And I think why I'm here on stage talking about digitalization is not because I'm a digital practitioner. In fact, Ramon is the expert. He's the practitioner. But as a leader, I think it's very important we sort of, I think setting the sort of direction of travel. And for digitalization, I see it almost as something we have to do. I mean, we have been talking about how the construction industry have been lagging behind on this digitalization journey. And I think it's all to do with existing mindset or obstacles that they are there. People just try not to change. I think there's a lot of inertia. It is a very established industry. Construction is probably for hundreds of years. We've been doing construction, and people have been doing it very successfully, probably for many years. And there's all this resistance to change. There's all this inertia among the trades, among the industry, of fear of changing. But I always say to my colleagues, unless we start to change ourselves, disrupt ourselves, someone's going to come in to disrupt us. I also said to my colleagues, our competitors on digitalization is probably not our current competitor. It's probably someone out there who are not in this industry and look at our industry. Hey, how come this construction and design industry is so behind, so backward in this adopting technology, adopting digitalization? And somewhere, sometime, they will come in to disrupt us. And that was be too late for us. So I think the whole digitalization journey, I think we, as an industry player, need to start all together. Otherwise, we will all be disrupted at some point without even us noticing. So for my organization, as a leader of the firm, I come out and say, I need to lead, not because I'm very good at digitalization, but I said I need to say, this is very important for us to exist, for us to continue to be able to exist in this industry. We need to do it. And that's why I recruited Ramon in 2017 and say, Ramon, let's build a team, let's help. But then I think the resistance or the difficult part is probably in the middle. I mean, as a leader, I know it is right thing to do. Not on my leadership colleagues, they know it's right thing to do. The younger levels, also they have the skill. It's easy for them to actually adopt it. It's the middle layer, which is difficult. But therefore, my organization, they are the one who deliver projects. They're always pressure to deliver in terms of time, cost. And for them to stop doing something they are very familiar with in the past and do something new is very important. And they will always say, Michael, money, time, where are they? So I think as a leadership, I need to push it down. At the bottom level, they need to come up. And the middle level, I said to my colleagues, don't just, I know they probably not the one to do it, but don't be the obstacle, don't be the barrier. And then throughout the industry, I think everybody have to play a part, government, developer, contractor, ourselves. We need the whole life cycle to be connected. There's no point for only one particular company or particular part of the industry to do it. I have to do it all together.
No, very insightful, advice and observation. Obviously, we need leaders with visions in our industry to advance, digitalization and modernize our business. But at the same time, how to communicate, that vision down to everyone in the team, is equally important. And again, the disruption will come from outside our industry. I think this is so true. In a lot of other industry, we can see that very well-established company would become obsolete and even go into financial difficulty because they haven't changed. And I think our industry really need be aware of this. The next question, maybe I will ask all the four speakers on the stage to maybe share their views. It's a question about what are the success factors for Hong Kong to really implement the construction digitalization roadmap. Maybe I will start with YY, as you are the owner, developer, always take the lead.
Unsuccessful, right? Or unsuccessful factor.
Successful
factors.
Or you can equally, what are the unsuccessful kind of roadblock?
I think successful is the vision. Because always is the people, as just Michael mentioning, a lot of people, if they are not on the same vision, they are very difficult to push the thing, even though as developers. In the past, this is the unsuccessful is even though we pay for this, but the people didn't realize the usefulness of digitalization. They just do it, treat it as a job. It's not the dream or the passion, how to use that kind of digitalization to help not only his own, also how to help on the project, or also how to for the society. They think currently is the comfort zone. Why it needs to change? So this is very important to let the people knowing about this is not only for industry, not only for the company, but also for you need to change. You can use technology to help you step forward. Just like recently the people talking about AI, whether this is the destroy your job, that kind of thing. Actually, it can help you to do job more efficient. So I think it's the vision and understanding the benefit is very important to make the thing successful.
Before I ask Paul to elaborate, maybe I throw in another question for Wai. Then how do you drive your project managers, contract manager to use BIM?
Oh, this is also we need to educate, frankly speaking. Even though our big boss, our chairman, always talking about sustainability, the department head like Wai Guo also spend a lot of time to pushing ahead. But still, we should have as I mentioned, we should have very strong commitment and also exercise the leadership to tell them. So that's why I said education. Why, as a developer, should have the education? Because we need to educate and also let them know some example. 以身作則 let them feel, oh, well, really, oh, why you are so to handle a lot of job, still very effective and efficient, and let them know this is the opportunities. So I think this is the way to do that.
And Paul, as a contractor, what are the success factors, from your point of view?
I think probably the biggest one for me, you've got to get value from the technologies that you're applying, and people have got to recognize or to actually embrace what they're getting from doing this. So it's not just another sort of cumbersome thing that you're putting on somebody's shoulders on top of the day job. And but perhaps by way of example, we use BIM on all our projects now as fairly standard, but we're still doing a lot of routine operations within BIM, and I think one of the presentations earlier looked at automation. And if we can start to apply technology that saves you doing that routine work that nobody enjoys anyway, and free up some time for doing more interesting things, then I think, to me, that's one of the real success drivers in this, because then it wants you to do more. If I can do that little bit there, well, maybe I'll try something over here. So I think the whole idea of how do you get something from this? Not just we'll do it because it's a shiny new toy type thing. But I think Michael touched on it. Equally, you've got to have, and YY just now, you've got to have a very clear vision from within the business. But you've also got to have a clear vision within the supply chain and with the business partners that you work with. Everyone's got to be on the same journey. If you're not, then there'll be an obstacle in there, and you'll find that there'll be a blocker somewhere in that chain. So I think there's two parts. One, the people applying it or using the tech have got to get something out of it. And then from a vision perspective, everybody's got to be on the same one sort of look at how we do it. Yeah?
Great. Michael, from your side?
I think, well, I won't repeat the other factors which gentleman just mentioned, but I think the scale is very important. I think to be able to scale up how the technology can benefit the industry is going to be very important. I think we saw a lot of examples of how technology actually helped one particular project or two particular projects. But I think we should really look into how technology actually can scale in a way that can benefit the whole industry in a way that really creates a lot of value for the industry, because the sort of investment in time or sort of finance investment or building something, building a platform, building a tool is quite high. And if you cannot able to justify that by scaling up, then there's an issue about how sustainable that particular tool or platform. So I think what the industry should focus on probably is try to somehow create some of these tools or platforms that commonly used for everyone, not just for one particular company or one particular project, but actually is commonly used by everyone across industry. Then I think that derives scale and values, and when once you start going, then there are more of those kind of platform or tools that benefit the industry will come in, and people are willing to adopt them. So I think to finding a scale, and Hong Kong, we have scale. With all these projects in the pipeline, there's so much we can do in the next 10 years, and we must not miss this chance to able to do something together which actually benefit everybody in the industry. It's not just one particular company, one particular trade, or one particular developer, one particular project. So I think it's important that there's a joint effort to find out where is the common things that we can do together, particularly on data. If we can link up all this data among projects, there's so much we can get from those data for everyone, not just for one project, one firm. So I think this is something probably CIC need to consider, because for any company to do that, everybody say, oh, this is only for that particular company or particular consultant. But if CIC wants to sort of figure out where there is these common things which can link up everybody in the industry, I mean, that would be very useful going forward.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, so the CDE and the big data, really not just on any particular site or company, but for the whole industry will become very useful, those data. And the economy of scale and the value for money will actually self-propel the industry towards that level. Again, Kevin, I think I really admire Wings. I think you turn a kind of a sort of money enterprises into a kind of a successful monetizing expertise, And, so again, you can share your experience and what are the kind of important factors of success you see in digitalization in our industry.
All right, thank you. Back to 2-3 years ago, Winston told me he wanted to find a way out. I also agree. And he tell me, I have some money to start with this. And I say, how much? He said, 7 digits. I said, how can you get the money? He said, it's from his pocket. You want to do something, he said. Okay, wow. I said, wow, that's lots of big pressure to do it, right? Because if you spend this money in not success, it means it is lose, it is nothing. But Winston told me, I'm ready to spend and lose. Go for it. And because of this confidence, I put it into action. I say, as an engineer, we are intelligent. Once we have vision, we know how to success. Nothing is difficult. If you want something and you don't want to lose that millions dollar, you need to do something to make it happen, right? So I think 4 things I can give some takeaway for all of you is doing some tasks. He gave me some tasks. So I make TASK as 4 things you need to think about it to share across with you. So T means the tactic. First of all, you need this very good tactics. How long you can do the digitalization roadmap? What should you do? How is the tactics? How do you spend this money wisely? It's very important, first of all, the tactics. And then the second is what? The action. Action is the key. Once you design something, do it. Don't think about the ROI at that point. Because when you think about the ROI, you won't do it. Because no return when you invest something. It always happens for digitalization. But when you have no this pressure, you do it very happily. You do it with passion. So it's totally different. So take off the pressure and do it wisely and do it smartly. So the second is action. And the third thing about is the S. S means what? Do it more, TS, I forgot. The third thing is about it's about more smart, more smart. When you have the tactics, you have the action, and you need to do it more smart because the resources are always very limited. So how can you spend on the area? You need to think about it, but at the same time, when you talk about the vision of your team member will support you, will go for you, and go with you. So that is very important thing. When you do something smart, at the same time, you also take care of the people around you. So as a team to go for it. So finally, after all this, is talk about KPI. So once you have all this foundation is established, then you can talk about moving to the next. How could you apply your digitalization into your project, into your new job, and get the more new job due to what you have achieved? So, for example, as I mentioned, the award is very important. CIC, different organizations organize so many awards. So we have a team of getting award, We assign 1 or 2 colleagues to do the awards because we want that. We want to make sure our colleagues know what we have been achieved. So give them more confidence to make sure they enjoy the process. Then finally, you can get the KPI return. So that's what I can share.
Thank you. And again, I think I am very optimistic about Hong Kong future because we have younger generations who really are committed and also they are smart, and especially, action is what they are talking about. So we don't want any NATO, which is, on no action, talk only, right? We see a younger generation, they are all about action. So I think Hong Kong has a very bright future. And again, this is where I think I would also maybe ask, because on the floor they are very interested in some of the details of the various digitalization applications. For example, they want to know about how AI could actually impact our industry, especially maybe the open beam checker. That is through AI technology, is it?
Me?
Yeah.
The open beam checker is actually, we try use the open source and then the intelligence of our programmer to do some checking on the data. So nowadays in Hong Kong, we have, the issue is that because the authority is quite difficult to learn the software to check the BIM model. But if the checking process is as easy as open and PDF, then they are willing to check. They are willing to check just like a 2D drawing. So that's why we developed this tool for the authority to use, or the other company enterprise feel free to use, is that when they try to track the BIM model data and also versus the 2D drawing data, they want, if they want those set of data is equivalent or equal, when you submit to the, maybe for future for the buildings department, so that could be help them to reduce the time in looking into the BIM model or looking into the 2D drawing so that they can check against it. We also develop some, like for example, the LOD development checker, something like that in the same development. As long as once you have data, you can talk about AI. If you don't have data, there's no AI. Yeah. So we collect the data during the process to see what sort of checking the users always want to check. Then you can develop something language or the outcomes from the behavior of the people. Yeah, that's what we are developing, OpenBIM Checker.
All right. So, Michael, you also talk about AI and machine learning. Do you see that actually a threat to engineers, because then future we don't need so many engineers to do the design?
Well, I hope AI is not going to replace an engineer. I think AI will definitely, machine learning and AI will definitely have a very big part to play going forward. But I won't think they can totally replace engineer. But then I think with AI and machine learning, that helped the engineer to make the right decision more easily, and also making sure that the kind of data we are collecting is giving us the right sort of direction or right information. That's why I think the data is absolutely important. And we talk a lot about automation, but actually one of the most important thing about automation is to standardize. Standardize certain workflow. By standardizing workflow, you create a consistent set of data. When you have consistent set of data with good quality, then you can talk about AI, then you can talk about machine learning. So I think before we jump into AI and machine learning for engineering or on construction, let's make sure we have good quality of data. And that doesn't come without automation, standardization, and all these workflow that we have to do. So, but once we have all the data, we have the AI, machine learning, then we have creativity. Because there's a lot of evidence, information that you can, human can use to actually figure out what may be the best solution. That is the part I think the human can focus on. So we don't need the human being to do the very maintained number crunching anymore maybe in the future. But the engineers' role in the future maybe is to look at all those information generated by the AI, generated by the machines, and then make the right decision. Because when we come to decision, sometimes not just number, but there's all other factors like social factors, environmental factors, politics, and all these other kind, I think need engineer together with all these evidence and technical knowledge to make the right decision and right judgment. But AI, machine learning, definitely. But before we jump into that, let's have better data. I don't think we have actually enough data at the moment to do that.
So it's a question for Paul, because at site, it's always, rushing deadline. How do you ensure the data input, they are clean and correct and can be used for the future?
So it comes back to how we ask people to input the data. And as Gammon, we've been focusing on that quite a bit. And you saw in my presentation the use of mobile devices, mobile phones. And trying to get the user interface to be very simple and not too many clicks and to be in a way that you can start to standardize. So picking up on Michael's comment that we collect maybe 500,000 safety observations across our projects in a typical year with what we do. In the past, there was no rules on how we input that data. Now we've changed the way that we input the data into the platform. That then gives us a chance to start to use AI and machine learning to analyze and then get better insight. So I think you've really got to look at the way you try to collect the data is perhaps one of the lessons I've learned this last couple of years trying to do this. And again, not make it overly cumbersome on the person or the individual inputting that data into the system. Otherwise, that's where they just rush and don't care. And if you get good data, then you can get good insights.
Right. So I am aware that we are running short of time. Just and other burning questions, again, this to YY. I guess the question from the floor is that, you mentioned, the using kind of a BIM model is actually better as using 2D drawings for tenderers to do pricing. First of all, why? And also, how confident are you, using the BIM model to get pricing from the supplier and contractor?
Frankly speaking, BIM have been used for more than around 20 years. BIM model already very mature. Actually, we are low down to use BIM or question about BIM. But in the old days, just the methods of I mentioned, designer don't want to take the risk, because they always using the document to buy the error, and shift the problem to QS or shift the problem to contractor. But now, actually, BIM is what always when we start to using BIM is the design audit. Actually, the model itself should be correct, because this is single point of truth. Everything put all the things together in the model. Computer or the software will not tell the wrong thing. But the drawing, you can edit the wrong thing to present the wrong accuracy. So for us, we want, as a developer, we want the accuracy. This is no matter whether this is the bias for the contractor or the bias for the design consultant. We looking for is the reasonable and fairness. If we can do that, I believe, like Gammon doing our job, they will confident. Henderson using the BIM model or use under the contract is just only worry about how to do it. It's not worry about whether I will lose my money in that bundle of document, which they cannot see easily. So we are confident to do that because of technology is mature, industry is mature, everything mature. But only thing is how to, one more step, make it legally.
Great. I think, it really inspires knowing that, from the developer to our consultant to our contractor, as well as, all the even younger generations, they are all committed to advanced digitalization. And let me thanks again for the participants in sharing their insight with us on stage. And again, please, working together, we can actually achieve the goal that have been set for our industry, which is 300 billion is it, per year annually for the next decade. The golden chance for us to really elevate our industry and modernize and make us proud. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much to all our honorable charter pledgees and our moderator, Architect Donald Choi. Please proceed off stage. Oh, all right. We can get closer to each other at the center and take one photo together. Thank you very much. Thank you. Please proceed off stage and be seated. Thank you very much. It is such a fabulous discussion to talk about and insightful sharing about planning and implementing the construction digitalization roadmap. Thank you once again to all our speakers for the experience sharing. To round up our event, may we now invite Engineer Albert Chang, Executive Director, Construction Industry Council, for the closing remarks. Let's put our hands together for Engineer Chang.
Chairman Thomas has left us for other commitments, and also Donald, our champion of the CIC in digitalizations, and also distinguished charter pledges, speakers, ladies and gentlemen. Now, good afternoon, and on behalf of the CIC, thank you all attending this digitalization charter pledges sharing. Just now, we have heard of a very inspiring and educational talk, sharing by Paul about, the gamut, how they use digitalizations in design optimization and also the safety measures. And also, I would like to congratulate, congratulate and also appreciate Henderson. Take a very good example in putting forward a contract beam. Not only contract beam during the tender stage, but also binding during the construction stage. It is very, very essential to make sure beam applications can be widely adopted in the industry. And also we have heard about very inspirational, the talk by Roman, the total design automation platform, which is a very good tool adopted by Arabs in the making use of technologies in their day-to-day design works. And last but not the least, Kelvin, we heard about that shortage of money enterprise can always be a smart management enterprise. Congratulations. So, technology application is one-way road, I would say that, because a few months ago, in the end of last year, I published a manpower forecast, because in the coming 10 years, as Donald said, that it's a golden era of the Hong Kong construction industry. We are talking about every year will be construction volume about 300 billion. Compared with now, it's about 230 billion Hong Kong dollars per year. It will be increased to 330-something billion Hong Kong dollar per year. With such a large volume of construction work, we're facing a big challenge. It's about manpower. In my forecast, in this year, 2023, we are already talking about shortage of workers, skilled workers, and semi-skilled workers in the order of 13,000. And for the technicians and professionals, we're talking about shortage of 6,000 to 7,000. And all this figure will be increased in 5 years' time to 40,000 of workers and also 15,000 of technician professionals in 5 years. So it automatically means that we don't have enough manpower to meet up the construction volume that I have just talked about. So the only solution, whenever I talk to the press, I said that the only solution is the adoption of technologies. And adoption of technologies, sometimes maybe it's difficult for the construction industry to adopt, let's say, the big tunnel TBM, big machinery, construction plant, etc., because not too many projects is suitable for this kind of application. But digitalization is really a very easy tool for us to think about how to solve the manpower problem, how to enhance our efficiency, how to improve our safety. So this is the purpose of these digitalization charters. So we launched the digitalization charter last year, and I have to express my gratitude to all the pledges attending today or also online, or also who have signed the charter last year. And they have committed a common target to achieve 100% of digitalization by 2026. They are really our true leaders. And definitely, with their pledge, with the commitment by signing the charter, they will help us to motivate the others to adopt more digitalizations in our day-to-day works. Now, as I said, digitalization is indispensable. So there's a lot of benefit: productivity, safety, efficiencies, quality control, etc., and etc. And just now in the sections, in the early part of the section, I have signed MoU with Hong Kong U, with MIT, and also Sensetime. Definitely, we'll make use of these collaborators to provide us more smart solutions to help our industry to have a more innovative idea, application of these digitalization tools to help us to improve the quality of our works. So CIC will continue to promote, these digitalizations. And you all know that I have a CITF. So please pay attention to our peer-approved list on the CITF and make use of the CIT fund to help you to buy all these kind of new technologies and then help to improve the efficiency and quality of your works. And also with a BIM space in the Mega Box just next door. Please come to our BIM space to realize the reality of the benefit of this kind of digitalization tools. Now, last but not the least, I would like to have an appeal to everybody here and also everybody online that to make our industry more innovative, digitalization is a must. And it depends on our commitment. So please, let's face the challenge, have commitment to adopt these technologies, and then we can see a brighter future. As Donald said that, we are very pleased that our younger generation, our leaders in industry, all committed to digitalization. It should be a bright future for Hong Kong construction industry. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Engineer Zhang, for rounding up the event for us. Please be seated. Thank you. So as said by Engineer Zhang, we encourage everyone to sign the Construction Digitalization Charter. Join hands with the CIC to achieve our digitalization targets for the industry. So ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the CIC, I would like to thank all of you and of course our online audience for participating in our event today. We look forward to seeing everybody in our future events. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you. Goodbye.